Hello there. It hasn't been easy for me for 10 years. It hasn't been easy. It has been a very painful journey of having to shuttle between courts. Every time I receive an email from Olau, Rai and company advocates, it hasn't been easy. Many times I've asked myself, did I really need to go to court? Did my matter really need to go to court? I know in the past few days, maybe a week or so, I have been extremely angry, very bitter, most especially after Olau, Rai and the company advocate warned me that they are going to auction my property, to auction everything that I own. I have put up a spirited fight against a case that, to be honest, should not have ended up in court, and if at all it ended up in court like it did, then I'm actually the one who is supposed to have been compensated. I invoked the Constitution of Kenya, Article 159, where it talks of alternative justice resolution mechanism. I quoted this article, I explained it in depth. I know that I did not want this matter to end up in court, and I took every precaution to help this matter be resolved out of court.
Two things, and maybe the presiding judge is going to talk about that. First of all, these elders are capable of resolving all disputes, including land disputes. In fact, there are very few disputes where they don't have jurisdiction. The dispute that don't have jurisdiction is, for example, issues to deal with defilement or abuse of children. Those ones they don't have jurisdiction. But things like land cases and so forth, they have the jurisdiction. And people will find out if they can go to these elders with their problems on land, they will be surprised that those problems will be solved fairly quickly without the technicalities that they have to come to grips with, without spending a lot of money that they have to deal with in court. So one way we'll do is we'll encourage people to try and use them to resolve those land disputes. Those can go there.
On the contrary, Gati Wambura demanded that this matter must go to court, saying that only the court will decide where her boundary reaches. Then where did this matter start? I bought a piece of land next to Gati Wambura of the Wambura Kegota's family. Many people warned me, be careful. After 17 years, Gati Wambura Kegota comes along and says that where my house stands, it is her land, and therefore I have to move, or I sell my house to her. Of course, that was my dream home. It was my entire retirement section. I called all her brothers, requesting them to come and help resolve the matter, and the brothers said, George, you are occupying our sister's land, therefore you must vacate. I ran to the community baraza. I explained to them, and they felt compassion for me. Despite the fact that I do not belong to the clan where I live, the elders sympathized with me, and they told me, I think we'll have to listen to both of you. And so Gati Wambura Kegota was summoned on a specific day for us to meet and resolve the matter. Unfortunately, Gati Wambura refused, saying that she is a teacher and she cannot sit with illiterate people. The matter was forwarded to the chief. Gati Wambura still refused. Then the chief forwarded the matter to the area assistant county commissioner. Gati Wambura came, but she refused to talk. She completely refused to talk. The assistant county commissioner forwarded the matter to the deputy county commissioner in Kehancha. Gati Wambura came, but again, this time she demanded that only the court will determine where her boundary reaches. I requested the land registrar and surveyor to come and ascertain the error in the mutation. They informed us in advance, and the day of coming, Gati Wambura ran away, switched off her phone, and therefore the land registrar and surveyor could not conduct the exercise. I turned to the Divisional Peace Committee in Mabera to help me resolve. Gati Wambura refused to come. I visited the Ministry of Lands office in Nairobi. I explained to them the case and they gave me a letter clearly showing that going to court should be the last resort. The office of the Secretary to the Lands Ministry said, telling the land registrar to help the two parties resolve the matter out of court. Gati Wambura still refused. In desperation, I had to file the case in court, and I prayed that the court recognizes the 17-year-old boundary on the ground. 2, I prayed that the court directs the land registrar in Kehancha to amend the mutation so that it may reflect the physical boundary on the ground. In my plaint, I had indicated very clearly that Gati Wambura demands that I move from where I live. Gati Wambura was claiming my land, was claiming my house. I indicated very clearly. In the course of the case, the judge, Justice Ongondo, directed the land registrar and surveyor to make a report. The report indicated that the boundary in question is very old, many years old, and therefore that boundary cannot be changed. It was a win for me because that's all I wanted. I was happy to hear that the boundary cannot be moved. Why? Because if it was moved, then it would have affected other people, not party to this case, and therefore the boundary was recognized. However, in a surprising twist of event, the judge directed that I must pay Gati Wambura Kegota the cost of suit, and Gati Wambura Kegota put her cost of suit at 1.3 million. Imagine, fellow human being, who is supposed to pay the other person? I think, act yourself as a judge in this matter. If you were to judge, who should pay the other? The other part of the judgment that really made me want is where Justice Ongondo directed that the police to ensure that I construct a wall between Gati Wambura and myself. He did not even factor in whether I am in a position, whether I can afford to construct a brick wall. It involves expenses. He directed the OCPD to deploy armed police officers to supervise the construction of brick wall, which will act as the boundary between me and Gati. Is justice really accessible in Kenya? Does constructing numerous court buildings in Kenya automatically translate to access to justice? To me, I would say that the more court buildings we have, the more devolved is injustice. Makovu, maovu, mahakamani. Kwa kweli nilitendewa makovu, nilitendewa maovu, na nikiwa mahakamani nitaendelea kulia tu, lakini because I cannot continue crying for the rest of my life, I have decided to let the matter rest. The Wamburas have had their way. I have had my say. It is my hope that at some point, Justice Ongondo, his conscience will one day convict him. Did he make that judgment freely based on the evidence adduced before the court? Because all these levels to which Gati Wambura Kegota was summoned, I had shown the court. I had even furnished the court with the 6 letters from the chief, from 2 different chiefs, all saying that Gati Wambura is very difficult. Gati Wambura ametushinda. And that was the comment. Despite the description from the community, not to forget that the community is the mirror of a person. Another painful part of the ruling is that despite the land registrar's report indicating that there is an error on the mutation, and despite that I had asked the court to direct the land registrar to amend the error, Justice George Atemo Ongondo did not find it necessary to authorize, to direct the land registrar's office to amend this very important document. Many times I ask myself, then why did I go to court? There are only three things that took me to court. One, to stop Gati Wambura from claiming my land, and by recognizing the physical boundary. That one, they recognized it. I had also asked the court to direct the land registrar to amend the mutation. The court refused to direct this. I have visited the Judiciary Service Commission. I have visited the Ombudsman's office. I have even visited the Chief Justice office, where I have explained my case, but nobody has ever found it necessary to respond to my claim. I realize that I'm fighting a losing battle. I now take my case to the Kenyan people and to the people of the world to gauge the justice system in Kenya. The Constitution is very clear, and specifically Article 159, which I invoked in more than 7 different forums. The court has punished a good man who trusted and leaned so much on the law, and they have awarded somebody who rubbished Article 159, who rubbished all the existing community structures, including government offices like the Chief's office, the SEC's office, and the DCC's office. My case is with the people of Kenya and the people of the world. I forgive the Wamburas. I can no longer continue carrying the bitterness, the anger in my heart. It is not worth it. I will pay them the Kenya shillings 300,000 that they have pegged on the cost of suit. It is I who should be claiming this money, but through the judicial system of Kenya. And so it has been ruled that I must pay a perpetrator. I think I have to come to the end of the fight, not anymore. I humble myself. I swallow the pie. Nimekuwa nikibeba machungu kila ninapokumbuka mlionitendea. Nimefika sehemu ambayo ninaona kwamba siwezi nikayabeba tena, na siku hii ya leo ninachukua mzigo. The story of Naboth and Jezebel has replayed in my life over and over. The only difference is that Naboth was killed physically, while I have been killed emotionally, socially. I have lost my dignity. I have lost my respect.